basically invalidate a masjid if you don't know, understand, comprehend, right? And apply. You can invalidate a masjid, meaning don't go pray there. You didn't even know that was possible, did you? Like, what? You can invalidate it? Yeah, you can make it so that a masjid is like, don't pray there. What is that thing? What's the foundation? It's in the Quran. مرة أخرى تقوى. What happened? You had these individuals that thought that they were going to hop on the prophethood bandwagon. So they decided, hey, we'll build our own masjid. Most of you, private Masjid al-Dirar, huh? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you are not allowed to pray there. Invalidated that masjid. Why? Because it wasn't built on taqwa. Makes you take a step back and really think about what happened here in the US, huh? Build a masjid, why? Now, here's the catch. How do you get taqwa into bricks? Anybody? Concrete, rebar, electrical wiring. How do you get taqwa into objects? Is it possible? You think so? A philosophy major? Actually, you're kind of right, but we'll talk about that later. It's talking about the people. That the foundation of a masjid is the hearts of the people, and those hearts must be filled with the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only then do you build a masjid. That's the reason why. Two things. No masajid were built before Medina. No? That was it. They went to the Haram. That was it. When they did finally build a masjid, Masjid al-Nabi, what did it look like? Because we talked about that. So now, the things that you and I hold precious today in the minds and the hearts of the Muslim community, as far as what is a masjid, if you talk to different community members, they will tell you that it is an Islamic center, that it is a social center, that it is a cultural center, that they will tell you that it's a place where we go to seek help. They'll tell you all different types of things. But here the point is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines a masjid based on a factor, an intangible factor, an unquantifiable, unqualifiable factor that resides in the heart of a believer. Taqwa. But we have made again, we love Islam around us, not in us. We love the look of it. We love the comfort of it. We love the familiarity of it. But then, when that same Islam comes into our face and says, you are wrong, you are delusional, you are arrogant, you are ignorant, you are insufficient, you are not ready to die. Then we back off. The love backs off. This is the root of our issues, community issues. There's nothing more than this. So, you and I here, because the same way. So when I'm making dua in this program and everything, right? It's about what? Oh Allah, please have the people of taqwa, the people of muttaqeen show up, bring them and make me, Allahumma ja'alni minhum, make me from amongst them. Why? Because it is only the people of taqwa that are actually capable of the implementation of change. You didn't know that, did you? But it's there. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Well, here's the catch. It was actually like your Sahaba, right? The names that you know and love, right? They were actually a small number from amongst the larger number. Because Hajjatul Wida, 124,000. How many names do you know? So yes, you have Sahaba. They saw Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam alive while they were alive in a state of Iman. But you and I, when we talk about Sahaba, it's actually not Sahaba or Sahabas, right? The double plural. It's what? We got specific names in mind. It's a short list. Why? Who are those people that Allah Ta'ala has made their names to live on? Not just in books, but in your heart and my heart, in your mind and my mind, in the lives of Muslims. Who did that? Allah. So that means potentially, regardless of the size, as long as, because it's not about quantity, it's about quality. As long as the quality is here, if you and I focus on taqwa, inshallah, we are sufficient to trigger change. Do you believe that? You have to. You have to. So, let's stand up. We're going to the door. I'm going to make this real quick too. Inshallah, it'll be beneficial. Let's go to the door. We got to come in. That's right. I'm going to mess up your nap and everything. Got you all comfortable. Nap time broken. Yes. And then turn right back around. Yes, there you go. Yeah, I'm watching you. Yeah, This is how much we have to learn. Look at all these people leaving with the right feet, here, all of them. But yet if I ask them, which foot do you enter the masjid with? Which foot do you leave the masjid with? They can tell me. But do they do it?
But we did not exit the masjid as yet. Still,
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're getting ready to get there right now. That's actually a point. It's a good point. MashaAllah. That's why we're here. Okay, now, you are getting ready to come into the masjid. What is the dua? What? And translation, oh Allah, open for me the doors of mercy. Isn't that correct? So you're getting ready to walk through what? Doors of mercy. Now, these are the physical doors. So when you're coming in, Allah Ta'ala is having us mention what? The spiritual doors, the doors of rahmah, abwabul rahmah. So now when you come in to the physical doors, what are the doors of rahmah? Come in. Make sure you come in with your right foot and say the dua. Yes. Now, let me ask you a question.
if I read it when we enter from there, the first
Yaktafi.
it's okay.
That's sufficient. Okay? Now, come on. Now, let me ask you a question. What are the doors of mercy? You asked for it. You know the dua. What are abwab al-rahmah? We can use that. Who said Jannah? Okay. Do you know the names of the doors? If you know the names of the doors, you will also be able to answer this question because the two are identical. Yes, the gates of Jannah are in your masjid. Is there not one for fasting?
Yes.
Where we do Ramadan?
They
Yes.
fast all.
What about salah? What about sadaqah? Don't we do it all here? Doesn't it start from here? This is where abwab rahmah are. This is where they originate, okay? In our masajid. So now, when we're saying to Allah that, oh Allah, abwab rahmatik, and then we come in and I'm looking for my cell phone. Like that's a bab itself, right? That's babu rahmah, huh? It's like, yes, dear. What kind of bread? But I just went to the store yesterday. I don't understand. Yeah? No. Trust me. Huh? Your wife? Bibi? She doesn't have this. It's not a, mashallah. Some of you are probably like, no, definitely no rahmah there. No rahmah. Right? Maybe, hopefully, rahmah for you. Okay? But you got to be here, not on your cell phone, not chit-chatting about politics or work or this thing or that thing, because basically, those people never arrived. They never got here? Even if it's Jumu'ah. Remember last time we talked about it, right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually going to take the salah of some people and throw it in their faces like a dirty rag. Why? Because the physical part was there, the actions were there, but the khushu', the khudu' was not there. Yani the internal content, the substance, the thing that actually has value is missing. Okay? So it's internal. I've been hammering it over this past month or two, right? External, internal. What is the difference? Yes, externally, meaning physically, that person came into the masjid. Internally, they never made it. What's the proof? They are that dua. Do you see Allah opening abwab rahmatik for him? That's your proof. He's in the masjid and the doors are closed. No dhikr, no salah, no paying attention to what's like. Imagine showing up on Yawm al-Qiyamah and you're saying to Allah, I was in the masjid, but I didn't get any benefit. From what? The place where abwabu rahmatik exists. How do you do hisab for that? How do you and I give account for that? Right? So now we're in here to do what? Now I'm looking for access. Doors of rahmah. But in order to get the doors of rahmah, to get the benefit, how do you get the benefit? Because we just asked for them to be open. Oh, the wording is so specific. It is always specific. Allahumma ftahli. Allah, open for me. But did you go in? Did you get the benefit? How do you get it? How do you go in? Now there's a question for you. This question right here, middle school kids need to be able to give the answer to this before they enter high school, before they become freshmen. There's no way in the world that a young adult should be able to reach high school without knowing the answer to these questions. Inexcusable, unfortunate, but inexcusable. How do you open it up and access? Give. What does sadaqah do to the anger of Allah? Extinguishes it. Because you did what? You gave. If you even give a date stone or even a piece of a date stone for the pleasure of Allah, what's the reward? As if it was Mount Uhud. In what? Gold. Dhahab. It's a date stone. Was Allah really value date stones that much? No. He values giving. Because you and I are only going to be able to give based on the degree that we have trust in Allah.
That's very
Historically proven. Quranic fact. Fact from the words of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I just like put it into a very short, easily comprehensible phrase. It's undeniable. Hence, who gave the most? Who gave the most? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why? Because he had maximum trust in Allah. Who gave the most after that? Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Why? Because he gave everything. And then Umar, because he gave half. Now, here's the difference. How much was his half?
Huge.
No. Give me like brother. Like if you come to say I want a job and say, well, I'm just going to pay you huge or small.
No,
You want a number, don't you?
I don't know the specifics of the numbers, but
Exactly. That's my point. You don't, do you? You just know it was a big deal. You have no idea the actual monetary amount. Why? Because they didn't give you one. They gave you a percentage. You see, when you're a real giver, it's about percentages, not amounts. That's why you see 100%, no amount. 50%, no amount. And if you think it stops there, Uthman radiallahu anh provided for 1/3 of that same army that was going to Tabuk. But 1/3 is 33%. And you still don't know the amount. You see? Okay, now, in that vein, in that example, this vein of altruism in Islam that is exemplified by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and al-Khulafa al-Rashidun. Now, how do you and I give here?
think about it. 50 bucks, that's too much.
Say again? How do you give here?
See how much we have in our account, or might be.
Okay, let's go ahead and get that one out of the way, okay? Because it is legitimate, right? Sadaqah and zakat and everything. So we got the little boxes in the back or wherever, and depending on the masjid, okay? There you go. Hopefully you think beyond that. Let me introduce you to something, okay? Because we are talking about being in the masjid. I want you to start looking at those boxes back there as your last alternative. That's your last alternative. Why? As soon as you put it in that box, you've lost it. You can't increase this intention at all, right? It just blindly went into a box. You don't know who it went to go help. You don't know nothing about it. It just went in a slot. Who knows what happens to it after that? Unfortunately, a lot of these masajid, it's going to go sit in a bank account somewhere so people can look at the big, pretty numbers. It happens a lot. You'd be surprised how many of these masajid in the Chicagoland area got 7, 8 figures or more in their bank accounts. And they'll sit there and complain to their communities about, you won't give, and we need to raise this and this and that and the other. Meanwhile, they have, like, I'm telling you from the inside, brother, I move. Like, I know my communities. This is a reality. But if you take that same zakat or sadaqah and actually look for somebody who is in need, if you give sadaqah on a regular basis, like, and you're in the masjid making salah with the jama'ah, and you see a brother who's coming regularly, and he looks like, he could use some love. Let's call it what it is. Not help, love from another Muslim. So now, instead of putting it in the box, how about this? Assalamu alaikum, my brother. What's your name? Arshad, mashallah. I'm Khalid. And I'm going to get to know my brother now. I'm not going to, brother, do you need zakat? Would you like some sadaqah? Because he's a man. He's not trying to hear that. You just put your foot on his neck, right? And then told him, if you need my help, you can talk to me right now. Poor guy. Of course, honestly, if he turned around, looked at you crazy and walked away, he's the one who's in his right mind. Okay? So instead, I'm going to get to know my brother. Not just his name, where he lives, and his family members. What do you do for a living? What's your favorite, what do you do in your spare time? I'm going to actually build a relationship. I actually genuinely care about another Muslim. Then now I am aware of his situation, because Allah Ta'ala says that there's some people, if you don't ask, they will not say anything. You know who those people are? They are gold mines for the ones who go to find them. Allah takes care of them regardless. But if you can find one of those individuals and now they didn't ask anything, nobody knows, and you find him, keep it a secret, okay? Hey, brother, Anytime you need something, like, just come talk to me. Don't need, like, look, I'm with you. Because it's a gold mine. Like, you're talking about exponential increase in everything that you give now. Okay? You and him are in like serious business together. You're talking about Fortune 500 here, baby. Okay? Now I know my brother's situation. So now I'm going to give sadaqah. But I'm going to do it like this. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Here, Allah dropped this envelope in my hand. And my understanding is this thing is for you. Your rizq from Allah. Take it. May Allah put barakah in it. Assalamu alaikum. Done. How does he feel now? What happened to his iman? What happened to his yaqeen? Did he get the money from me? I didn't tell him it was from me. He's sitting here thinking, my Allah sent my rizq through this brother. Because that's what the brother said to me. Now, imagine this is happening in our masjid. What type of residual effect does that leave? When he leaves this masjid, how does he feel? When I leave this masjid, how do I feel? When you're sitting next to us, how does it make you feel? Because we all know, just talking with the brother about it yesterday, true or not, even if you've never been to that masjid before, you get a feel as soon as you walk in. Do you not? I don't get a good feeling here. I'm not getting a good feeling. Or, oh, wow. Ooh, wow, this is nice. MashaAllah. And it doesn't matter about the size, it doesn't matter about the decorations or none of that, right? It's just something that you cannot, again, quantify or qualify. There's no empirical proof here. It's just something you and I have experienced. It's a shared experience, right? We go into the masjid and we're going to feel some kind of way. The energy, aura, right? Would you be breaking out with no crystals and rocks and whatnot either? Come on, you brother. MashaAllah. Ma'adallah, may Allah protect us. Okay, so now with this understanding, you're coming into the masjid to give, to build connections, to unify. That's the reason why. What do we do when the announcement? They all do it, right? When we stand up, right? MashaAllah, my brother and I, Now, yeah, exactly. He already knows. See, yeah. You're Egyptian.
Yeah.
You're Egyptian. Yeah. He's Indian. I'll take you. Right? This is how absurd it is. And actually, it's what? Shoulder to shoulder. Why? Because there's no difference between me and him. Muslim, Ummati, Ummati. Abdullah, Abdullah. How is there something different? So why should this not be connected? What would you do if you woke up and you got up to, like, in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom and your left arm kept laying there? Whoa, that's not supposed to happen. You see what I mean? We're supposed to be together. So now, watch this. Let's go. All right. Line up. Stay in between. Give me this one. It should be two safs, please. In between that chair and this chair, please. Just line up. Okay, now, say for instance, adhan is being called or what have you. Is it permissible to stand and wait for the imam to come? No, it is not. It is makruh. And actually, this actually gives an indication that this person does not know how to follow leadership. It is like those people who understand these signs and these indication ayat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they can literally stand on the periphery of a Muslim community and tell you everything about that Muslim community and even some specific things about the individuals involved just by watching how they interact in the masjid, in and around the masjid. It's an expertise, gentlemen. Now, Here's a question for you. What does shaitan want to do to you? Ooh, you were paying attention before, huh? Like, this is, mashallah, this is 6 years of having to listen to me. Allahu Akbar. Disturb, distract, right? All of it, right? Yes? Ultimately, self-destruction. So how does shaitan do it? The whole point of shaitan is to turn you into a tornado. You didn't know that, did you? And this one or both of them? Oh, okay. In the alam al-arwah, microphones. Alam al-mithal. So when you dream, was I doing? Yes. So when you dream, when you're dreaming, what's actually happening? Your soul leaves and goes to, let's just say, another realm or dimension, right? And that's what that is called, alam al-mithal. Yeah. You know, it's Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay? Alameen, Jam'a, the plural, alam, right? Singular. So, alam al-mithal. It is known as the realm of similitude. And do you know what the similitude is for, mathalan, for like difficulties, hardships, extreme, like in your personal life? Do you know what it will show up as? Tornadoes in your dreams. Yeah, tornadoes. So what's shaitan trying to do? Turn you into a tornado. So it's not just about us being self-destructive. That's the tornado. But what do tornadoes do everywhere they go? They destroy. That is the whole plot and scheme of shaitan in a nutshell. Get us to destroy our own akhirah with our own hands and disturb other people enough that they will do the same. So we say keep shaitan out. Now, watch this. Sit down. Bismillah. You heard everybody. You all get it. Right? And when it comes to the salat thing, like we get this part. This is not where the problem is. We all get this part. We've all gone over it how many different times? This is the problem. Twofold. Ignorance. But we think we know. There is nothing more dangerous than somebody ignorant who thinks they know. Because all caution will be thrown to the wind. And this is probably in terms of sicknesses that exist, right? Without getting into like, you know, the root causes and the root specifics, you know? Like this is probably the one that is leading the way. It's at the forefront. Muslims think that just because they're born Muslim or they've been Muslim for so long, like this by default translates to some form of like expertise, and it does not. Not at all. And I'll give you an example. When I was first really introduced to spiritual traveling, if you will, I don't know how to put it any other way, right? This whole process of reform and refinement and rectification. When I was first introduced to it and the different layers of it and like the sophistication, the beauty of it, my first question was this: how long does it take? All right? This whole like al-iman al-kamil and so on and so forth, right? Like all of this, how long does it take? You know what the answer was? So nonchalantly too. This is the part that really like drove it home. 10 years, 1 year, 10 minutes, 1 day, maybe never. What kind of answer is that? I got everything from like maybe a day to maybe never. Because time is not the issue. Effort and sacrifice are. Sincerity are. That's the issue. It's the only issue. Right? Now, the second thing, akhlaq. This is Yom, what it was, where Maghrib changes the day, but technically we still call this, socially we still call this Yom al-Jumu'ah. How do people treat each other in parking lots? How do they treat each other in the masjid? Even something as basic and simple as don't walk in front of another Muslim while he's making salah. It's not complicated. How about don't be on your phone while you're in the masjid? How about you're not permitted to talk about dunya or business while you're in the masjid? How about you're not allowed to fight or argue in the masjid? Because all of those things take away from the environment. And it leaves a negative residual effect. Along with what? I'll give you an example of how, because we have our young people here, of how intense this can get, and it causes a ripple effect. We have young people that have not been educated properly. They have been exposed to non-Muslims, non-Muslim ideology, philosophy, understandings, underpinnings, etc. And then we think that just by bringing them and dropping them off in the masjid, everybody in the masjid thinks that all of a sudden, this person is supposed to turn into the child of Sahaba. And then it's supposed to be the example of how to be in a masjid. Never mind the fact that the adults don't do it. And then somebody now wants to do what? Harshly criticize or reprimand that child. We talked about this before, if I remember correctly, in that first session. But what's the issue there? Akhlaq. Because, think about this. That child is doing something wrong. And this happens all the time. That child is running back and forth in the masjid. How would you handle it? Raise your hand. You've been there. You've seen it. You've experienced it. What do? Do you let it go? If you think you let it go, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Discipline.
Yes. Verbally, at least somebody should, or their parents should take care of them when they are in the masjid.
Oh, mashallah. So you went directly to the heart of the matter, huh? Where is the child's parents at?
They should be in the masjid.
Right? They should be in the masjid, right? So now the question is, why isn't the child's parent doing something about this? Isn't it?
Not person, but it's a kid also.
So then the parent is the one who does it too. So then the parent comes and says, you people, you want the children in the masjid and then you treat them like this. Then they don't want to come and blah, 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 blah. One extreme, skip middle ground and go straight to the other extreme. We're going to go from extremely harsh to nothing at all. Where's the middle ground at? Middle ground is this, twofold. Number 1, I got to talk to the parent because the parent is the problem, not the child. It is the ignorance and ineptitude of the parent, which is the reason why we're dealing with it. Oh yeah, I'm going to call it out, brother. I'm not going to bite my tongue. This is deen. You want me to bite my tongue? Let's go talk about something personal. This is deen. Akhirah is at stake. Generations are at stake. Forget your feelings. So now, the parent is the problem. So now we need to address the parent. But the thing about it is, parents are hypersensitive. You know why they're hypersensitive? How many times have you seen those situations where somebody goes to try to talk to the parent and it's the parent that goes bananas? You know it, don't you? That's really so when nobody talks to the child, I'm like, how come nobody says anything? Because they're not worried about the kid. They're worried the parent is going to flip out on them. Okay? How dare you talk to my child, and this is my kid, and you have no right, and you people in the masjid, and oh my gosh, I've seen it too. I've had to deal with it too. I know exactly, yeah. Woohoo! Yeah. So now you got to figure out, how do I address this hypersensitive, inept parent so that we can deal with the child situation? Okay, that's going to take some time. That's Jumu'ah khutbahs, that's the khatiras, and so on and so forth. And maybe like I'm going to have to like figure out who the father is and try to build a relationship and figure out what the issue is, and slowly over time. But in the meantime, okay, so that's that, father. Now the child, because that I can deal with immediately. But instead of yelling at him, how about do it with love? Do it with love. Assalamu alaikum. They don't listen to you? I've been the disciplinary, like, madrasas and everything. Hey, you! Assalamu alaikum. Get their attention first, right? MashaAllah. All right. I'll leave that story for another time. Yes, sometimes you got to catch their attention, okay? So they'll take you seriously. And then, hey, little bro, how you running around? Where's your father at, first of all? Yeah, I need that answer. Then, like, what are you doing? MashaAllah. What's your name? Are you here by yourself? No? Okay, fine. You know how to make salam? Yes? MashaAllah. Can you recite Al-Fatiha for me? Do you see what I mean? And now, like, MashaAllah, your Fatiha, beautiful. MashaAllah, may Allah bless you. That's what this is for, reciting Quran in the masjid. MashaAllah. So like when you come, the other people, they want to recite too, like you just did beautifully. So if you're running, you're going to disturb them. And like you see how hard it is to recite. Like you worried about making mistakes, they do too. So we're going to keep it quiet, okay? No running and everything, so that way, inshallah, you recite Quran, I recite Quran, he makes salat, recite Quran, but we're all, mashallah, going to respect each other. Fair enough? Mashallah. Assalamu alaikum. Are you smiling? This is relatable. They can understand this. You're coming with love. Are you dealing with the situation? Absolutely. Any hearts broken? Did I give the child's parent any reason to be upset with me? I still got to deal with the parent, but it's fixed, isn't it? Akhlaq. This is the biggest thing that you and I can give when we come to the masjid, is the akhlaq of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that is from the parking lot, through the front doors, standing in salah, after salah. It's all about how we're treating each other when we come here. The masjid is about unity, unity of purpose. Ibadatullah. So if we can't figure out how to do it here, if we can't unify here, if we can't practice Islam together here, who in their right mind thinks we're going to be able to do it out there? Didn't I tell you, like, you want to understand our issues? Like, here it is. We can't function together in the masjid. And then, of course, we can't function out there. And you can go all the way up to governments. You look at pretty much any one of those governments and you think about the Muslim community, and you will see that that portion of the Muslim community actually mirrors, okay, their mindset mirrors back home. Now, here's the catch. If you actually look at the situation on the ground back home, it ain't nothing rosy. That's the reason why they leave there to come here. So if you left there because that mentality and what it produced wasn't good enough for you, wasn't sufficient enough for you, it wasn't providing you the avenues and the opportunities that you felt you deserved, then why are you going to take what they did in that mentality and bring it here and apply it here and do the same thing they did there? So when they did it, it was wrong. You come over here, you do it, it's right. What kind of logic is that? What kind of logic is that? So all the way up to this. So now, and same example, are our masjids segregated? Are our masajid in our communities ethnically segregated, divided up? Yes or no? Chicagoland area. Yes. Unfortunately, it's good. All of you people, everybody's saying yes, but may Allah bless you guys because it's a reluctant yes. It's kind of like, yeah, that's the reality, but dang, that's not good. That's not good to have to say that. All right? You don't like it. We know that it's not good. It's not right. It's un-Islamic. It's antithetical to Islam. This notion of like this is the Indian masjid, and that's the Pakistani masjid, and that's the Somali masjid, and this is the Syrian masjid, and that's the Egyptian masjid, and that's the Sudanese masjid. And even to the extent that I stay away from organizations now that put their country or their ethnicity in the name of their organization. I'm sorry, I'm about Muslim. You're about your country and nationalism. I care about Islam and Muslims, regardless. I don't care where they come from, what their background is, even they're good or bad Muslim. You're Muslim, mashallah, I got some good and bad in me too. But why are our masajid in our community segregated? Because our hearts are. And look at this, to let you know how bad it goes and how deep it goes. It doesn't stop there. Because even in these segregated communities, what is the population? Like when we're talking about like actually showing up at the masjid regularly, what percentage of the population shows up? Across the board. Doesn't matter. You pick your ethnicity. The elder community. And the people who are actually trying to make like some spiritual effort. Various ages, male, female, etc. But that's pretty much. So the understanding, because I got to close, right? I want you to think about this. In the khutbah today, we talked about Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How did he respond to any difficulty? Salah. On the back of patience, right? That the salah is the expression of the patience with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and trust in Allah. So it's not wrong. Okay? Salah. And if it was possible, where would he specifically go? To the masjid. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, regardless of the situation, he always saw what as his first solution? Salah. Where specifically? In the masjid. Why? Allahumma aftah li abwab rahmatik. But then he also understands, how do you access those doors of mercy? By giving. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, think about it, all the caravans that came, think about all the hadiths you've heard up until now. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was distributing all that wealth, he did it from where? From the masjid. Did he even go home? No. So sometimes multiple days would go by where he doesn't go home because he's distributing. From where? From the masjid. He didn't hold it in a bank account. There was no need for hiding any bank balances or anything of that nature. There was no confusion about what the needs and priorities of the community were. He gave, and he gave, and he gave. And the closest to him gave and gave and gave. If you and I want to be close to him, then we're going to have to give. And it's not about money. It can be about money, but like not everybody has that resource. It's time, it's effort, it's sweat, it's tears during tahajjud. Even if you don't do anything else and like, you know what, Ya Rabb, I'm a simple person. I'm not that complicated. Like, you got these really pious people out here doing their thing, and like, I love those people and I love what they're doing, but that's I don't think that's me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to be the best abd. That's it. My salah, I'm going to try to do that the best. My dhikr, going to the masjid, try to do that regularly. Read some Quran every day. You know what I'm saying? Just get up for 2 rakats of tahajjud. That's it. But I'm going to try to do that consistently, Ya Rab, as my part. Oh my gosh. If that is you, please do not think that that is some small thing. You are a giant walking around a bunch of little people. Because that understanding of ibadah is what's necessary right now. Because it's Isha time. Not that Isha. Think of it this way. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to us, and at the height of his nabuwwah, this is zawwal. Meaning, all darkness is leaving, huh? Even the munafiqeen kicked out of Medina. Allahu Akbar. And Asr. Umar is assassinated. Uthman is assassinated. Al-Hasan wal-Hussein assassinated. Ali radiallahu anhu assassinated. And you have the mutaqaddimeen. By the time you're finished with them, the Khawarij, all these groups ended up becoming like, we'll call them whatever now, but let's just call them like all the internal fitan. These little groups that pop up just to cause division. Until now, Maghrib has set in. Maghrib has set in. What was the period of Maghrib? Leading up until late 19th century, early 20th century. Around the same time, that before World War I, as is commonly known in this country, it has other names in other places. World War I, before that time period, okay, this was a critical piece of time period right here. What happens is that with World War I and so on and so forth, you have the Sykes-Picot Agreement, World War I, World War II, the establishment of the UN. Israel is back again. If you're not familiar with Sykes-Picot Agreement, that was where they split the Middle East and then they gave them kings. We didn't have kings, but they gave them kings. All of that came from Saudi. They put one of his sons in Jordan, another one of his sons in Syria, etc., so on and so forth. You go look at the history, you find out a lot of them got Jewish mothers or Jewish wives. Oh, it's intense. It's extremely intense. But how did all that come about? Because of Maghrib. And when did that period end? Late 19th, early 20th century. So what period are we in now? Aisha. Not Asha. For those who don't know, that means dinner. Time to eat? No, brother. Aisha. Why? Complete darkness. It is during this time, in this darkness, that Dajjaliyah has room to take root. The system that actually leads to Al-Masih al-Dajjal. Allahumma inna na'udhu bika min fitnati al-Masih al-Dajjal. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that each decade is going to get worse than the previous decade. Okay? So we're in this night sky. Now, don't be depressed. We're Muslims. We don't do that. So how do we look at this? That's our time to shine. In the daytime, can't see the stars. Sun is too bright. Think about it. You and I appreciate the Abu Bakrs and Umars and Osmans, right? Because there's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then we look at the Sahaba. You have to remember the Sahaba, they appreciate their peers and everything, but you got Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam shining right there. When does Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, when do they really shine? After he's gone. Now they stand out more. The sun isn't there anymore. Sirajan Munira. Right? So now this is the night sky of Isha. And that means it's time for us to shine. Where does it happen first? Well, in order to shine, you and I need to access what? Abwabu rahmatik. Ya Rabb. Where do we got to go? Masjid. So now, as all of this chaos, as people's tornadoes, right? This tornado runs into that tornado, and over here we got a whole country of tornadoes, and we got an army of tornadoes fighting another army of tornadoes, and they're just destroying everything. It's like, oh my gosh, the kids are freaking out. What kind of world are we going to live in? I don't know. What do you tell them? How do you act? How do you respond to that? Masjid. With the akhlaq of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Coming to the masjid thinking about what can I give and how many ways can I give. Not take, not have expectations, not have complaints, but what can I give? And last thing, this is something, I saved this one for the end, because this is one of those things like really not understood, but here it is for you. Most people think that the masjid was the masjid when actually the masjid was more about the person and people in it. Now, we talked about taqwa at the very beginning, but you have to understand something. Masjid al-Nabwi, we call it Masjid al-Nabwi. Today, the Muslim community has an absurd notion that ulama live off of air and du'as, and that they are strictly servants, not even employees, servants, sometimes treated like slaves. They are replaceable, they're equal. It's kind of like a tire. You know, the tire goes flat, I just put any tire on there. Same difference as long as it rolls. There is nobody more important in the community than this guy. He is the leader. Supposed to be. He's the one with knowledge. Supposed to be. He's the one who knows Quran. Supposed to be. He's the one, hopefully, who fears Allah the most. Supposed to be. Taqwa, masjid, foundation, taqwa, community, need, taqwa. Who can teach taqwa in a place of taqwa to people who need taqwa? Al-Ghafilin. The people who are good at IT? The people who have a lot of money? The people who have social status, political status, from a particular country, have a particular skin tone? Or is it what we described as far as imam? But why do ulama not lead our communities? Why aren't ulama revered the same way that Christians revere their clergy? Jews revere their clergy. I got to go out there and deal with them in interfaith because they mock us because of the way that the Muslim community treats ulama. They ridicule us. They ask, like, why do they don't even take care of you guys. It doesn't even seem like they care about you. Like, you guys are just like used and abused. I tell people all the time, New York City, think about this. There's a rabbi. This rabbi had cancer and needed treatment. The community sent him to the hospital and they told him to need this, and that, and the other, and we need you to be admitted. The community, the Jewish community said, not here with the rest of these people. They bought the building across the street from the hospital. They turned a whole floor basically into a medical ward for this one rabbi and then paid the physicians and the nurses extra to walk across the street to provide him medical service. Tell me they did not love him. Tell me they didn't appreciate him. Tell me they didn't value him. You can't. Because your words will not override their actions. The same way words will not be enough for us in our masajid. Until we can understand what real leadership is, and we're willing to follow it, we're willing to support it, we're willing to listen to it, we will suffer. We will continue to suffer. And the winds of change, you know those winds? It's not random winds. It's winds from movement. It's winds from action. The same way when that car goes speeding by you and you feel the wind after it, you know it was that car's movement that did it. You want the winds of change in your family, in your personal life, in our communities, in the world, regardless of the situation, it's got to start in our hearts, and it has to start in our communities, and it's got to start in our masajid. With the methodology of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the priorities of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the giving of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the sincerity of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the tawakkul ala Allah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the sabr of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the yaqeen of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the taqwa of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the iman of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Until that happens, it's just all talk and complaining. And we have a long line of people who are willing to do that. I am trying to stand in the line of people who want to act. My humble request is for all of us to come stand there together. That our actions and our movement bring those winds of change. That our increased taqwa become the foundation of change in this community. In the lives of these young people that are depending on us to do our job. They're relying on us. We're their elders. We're their mentors. We're their family members. We're their parents. We're their uncles, their aunties. They're relying on us to do our job. We're doing well when it comes to make money and give them a house and everything. When it comes to their akhirah, not so much. But if we're going to fix it, we're going to do it here. And it's got to be together. Okay? Give this guy love. You have no idea what he goes through. I'm telling you, if you think you do, take that times 4, bare minimum. I'm telling you, you have no idea what he goes through. I can't even I'm on the verge of tears. I just you got to understand what he's doing is not easy. You don't get it. I'm telling you, you do not understand the type of abuse. You just don't get it. Love him. Take care of him. Be patient. Be forgiving. Be understanding. And learn from him. Take the benefit from him. You do not know what he's going through. He's sacrificing for you. Otherwise, if it wasn't about you and through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nobody would hold these imamate positions. Nobody's serious. Nobody who is not willing to compromise. Give him love and show him support. How can I help you? How can I make this easier for you? You are one man that's been assigned 10, 15 different jobs. And everybody comes demanding something from you, but very few of them ever come to give you anything. Unless it's like a topi or some trinket or a bottle of Zamzam or something like that. Which is mashallah, may Allah reward those people. But this guy is on the front lines. He's not playing with toys and trinkets. Give them something that you value: time, money, effort. And work with him to bring the community on the platform of taqwa. Because Allahumma ja'alna min al-muttaqeen, may Allah Ta'ala make us from amongst the muttaqeen. I meant what I said in the beginning. It doesn't take a lot of people. You do not have to be the most pious person in the community. You just have to be the most serious right now, the most sincere right now, the one who's ready to make effort right now, the one who's ready to sacrifice right now. That's all it is. Were there any Sahaba that died without making salah? Yes. I've never heard this before. You have, you just didn't realize it. You didn't put two and two together, connect the dots. When was salat made an obligation? 10th year. Were Muslims dying before that? Yes. Did they make salah? No. Here's another thing. You had new Muslims. They would enter into Islam and then head out to the battlefield, become shaheed, never prayed salah, never went for Jum'ah, never paid zakat, never fasted the month of Ramadan, never been for Hajj. Shahad. Where do you think he's going? You don't have to think. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us, little green bird under the arsh of Allah. Who's the most pious person? In that moment, the most willing. That's all we got to be, okay? But you got to believe it. You have to believe that the only thing that is standing between us and change is the decision of Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make that decision in our favor, fi dunya wa fil akhirah. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if through the tadbir of Allah, if this is where we're at and these difficulties, they have to come, they have to happen, then this is the qadr of Allah. Raditu bika ya Rabbi. We're happy with you, ya Rabbi. Just give us the strength, the courage, whatever we need to do what you want us to do, give us that. And give us tawfiq to be able to do it the way you want, in the footsteps of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to bring about your pleasure. Do not let us become shaken. Do not let us become discouraged. Do not let us lose our heart and our identity, how we are and who we are, just because of external difficulties. Ya Allah, make this kalima implanted, firmly rooted, tattooed on our hearts and our souls, that we die with this kalima. And Ya Rabb, bring us back with this kalima, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك نستغيث. Questions, worries, problems, concerns? I stopped leaving you guys time now because like y'all stare at me afterwards. I don't give you no time now. I just assume you're not going to say anything. I'll let you know though, this akhawat,